chariot tramping a dead or dying enemy. Part half a war scene from Jashara Iraq Museum. The plans of all the Assyrian buildings are rectangular, and we know that long ago, as now, the Eastern architects used this outline almost invariably, and upon it reared some of the most lovely and varied forms ever devised. They gather over the angles by graceful curves, and on the basis of an ordinary square hall carry up a minaret or a dome, an octagon or a circle. That this was sometimes done in Assyria is shown by the sculptures. Slabs from Kuyunjik show domes of varied form, and tower-like structures, each rising from a square base. The resemblance between the ancient form of dome and those still used in the Assyrian villages is very striking. Whether sloping roofs were used is uncertain. Mr. Bonamy believes that they were, and a few sculptures seem to support his view. Of the private houses nothing, of course, remains, but they are represented on the slabs as being of several stories in height, the ground floor as usual having only a door and no windows. All have flat roofs, and we gather from one of the bas-reliefs, which represents a town on fire, that these roofs were made, just as they now are, with thick layers of earth on strong beams. These roofs are well nigh fireproof, and the flames are represented as stopped by them, and coming out of windows. No remains of a window, or, so far as we are aware, of an internal staircase, have been found. Of the fortifications we know much more. In the north wall of Nimrud 58 towers have been traced, and at Kuyunjik there are large remains of 3 walls, the lower part being of stone, and the upper of sun-dried bricks. At Khor-Sabbath there are the remains of a wall, still 40 feet, 12 m, high, built of blocks of stone 3 to 4 feet, 1.2 m, thick, and the evidence is wanting as to finishing of these is completely supplied by their sculptures, which show an extraordinary resemblance to medieval works of the same class. Tier upon tier of walls are represented, enclosing a great tower or keep in the center. The entrances are great archy gateways flanked by square towers. These and the other towers have overhanging parapets just like the medieval machicolations, and are finished at top with battlements, remains of which have been found at Nimrud and Nineveh, and at Azar, the capital of Assyria before Nineveh. Of temples distinct from the palace we have a few supposed remains, but little is absolutely known as to the general form. But in Chaldea there are some enormous masses of ruins, evidently remains of the vast mounds which formed the substructure of their temples. The grandest of all these and the most interesting is the temple of Nabu at Borsippa, now Beers Nimrod, near Babylon, which has been identified as the Temple of the Seven Spheres. This was reconstructed by Nebuchadnezzar, as appears by a well-known inscription. Another example is at Muffa, which was 198 feet, 60 m, by 133 feet, 41 m, at the base, and is even now 70 feet, 21 m, high, and it is clear that both it and the Beers were built with diminishing stages, presenting a series of grand platforms, decreasing in length as they ascended, and leaving a comparatively small one at top for the temple cell. This has been found, it is supposed, at the Beers Nimrud, of vitrified brick made in ancient ovens. Landscape architecture. Ruins from a temple ancient Nippur said to be the site for the meeting of Sumerian gods, as well as the play that man was created. Text sources indicate open space planning was a part of the city from the earliest times. The description of Iraq in the Epic of Gilgamesh tells of 1/3 of that city set aside for orchards. Similar planned open space is found at the 1/5 enclosure of Nippur. Another important landscape element was the vacant lot, Arcadian, cube. External to the city, Sumerian irrigation agriculture created some of first garden forms in history. The garden, SAR, was 144 square cubits with a perimeter canal. 22. This form of the enclosed quadrangle was the basis for the later paradise gardens of Persia. In Mesopotamia, the use of fountains date as far back as the 3rd millennium BC. An early example is preserved in a carved Babylonian basin, dating back to ca. 3000 BC, found at Gursu, Lagash. An ancient Assyrian fountain discovered in the gorge of the Kummel River consists of basins cut in solid rock and descending in steps stream. The water was led from small conduits. 23. See also. Ancient Mesopotamian units of measurement. Abbasid architecture. Achaemenid architecture. List of cities of the ancient Near East. Notes. Sais, Rep.